Good morning, class.
Good morning.
You may now take your seats. Before we start our day, may I ask LJ to lead us a short prayer before we proceed to the discussion.
All stand and let us pray. God, our most loving Father, thank you for the gift of this moment that we're still able to continue our journey here on earth. As we begin our class, we ask your Holy Spirit to hover upon us, to be our light, to be our guide, and to be our inspiration. Amen.
Thank you, LJ, for that encouraging prayer. Now, let's proceed to the attendance, which is entitled Name Thy Number. Okay, class? Can you still remember the number which I've assigned you with last meeting? Okay, so as I call your number, please stay present if you are here. Number 1.
Present one.
Number 2. Alright. Is number 2 here? Okay, maybe she's late. Is it Princess? Okay. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Alright, very good. How about we have 2 other students here? How about you will be number 6 and number 7. Okay, thank you for being here. Okay, class, would you mind to give yourselves a round of applause for being here today? Okay, very good. Now, let's proceed to the first activity. Would you mind to read the activity, class, which is entitled
My missing shoe.
Okay. Have you taken your breakfast already, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why does it seem like you don't have a lot of energy today? Okay. So our activity for today is about it's a poem which is My Missing Shoe. Okay, class. It is a poem which is written by Kate Miller Wilson. Now, I am going to show you the poem. Okay, class, would you mind to read it? Read emotions and feelings as one. Okay. At the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go.
My missing shoe. I look for you by the front door, under my bed, on the bathroom floor, near the upstairs, in the drawer with my socks, next to the table, and out in the sandbox. My mother is calling me, and I'm calling you. Where have you gone, my missing shoe?
Okay, class, thank you for reading. Very energetic. Did you really take your breakfast? Okay, class, would you mind to stand up and be more energetic and show more feelings while reading the poem? So this poem is about my missing shoe. So the character here, he or she seems to be hysterical since they are going somewhere and the speaker can't find the shoe. So how are you going to act if you were him or her? You are going to be rattled, right? Oh, that's the emotion. So class, please stand up and read the poem once again with feelings, okay? Okay, at the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go. Go on.
My missing shoe. I look for you by the front door, under my bed, on the bathroom floor, near the upstairs, in the drawer with my socks, next to the table, and out in the sandbox. My mother is calling me, and I'm calling you. Where have you gone, my missing shoe?
Okay, very good. That's much better than the first one. Okay, class. So, did you understand the meaning of the poem? Okay, so what is the meaning of the poem? What is the if you are going to see the whole picture, what are you going to analyze about the poem? What is the meaning behind it? Okay, is anyone? Do you have any idea in mind? Okay, Mike, I think you have an idea in mind. Would you mind to share it? Okay, so we'll just go back to that question. So class, who do you think is the speaker of the poem? Okay, is it a boy, a girl, a son, or a daughter? Daughter. What makes you think that the speaker is a daughter, Mike?
because the picture of in the phone is a girl. And because she.
Okay. You have a point. How about the others class? Well, what do you think? Is the speaker a boy or a girl? How about you, Jericho? Who do you think is the speaker? Is it a boy or a girl? Okay, what makes you think that it's a girl, Jericho? It's just your instinct, okay? So, if you really understood the poem class, where is the setting of the poem? Where did the action took place? Where?
About the missing shoe.
Yes. Where is the setting? Where did the action took place? Is it in the house, in the mall, in the hospital?
In the house.
Okay, very good. Okay, so do you think, class, the speaker would be able to find the missing shoe? Yes, why? Why do you think so, Joshua? Because? Come on, because? Okay, class. Have you tried missing your shoe, or have you tried misplacing it inside your house? Okay, so have you able to find it? Alright, very good. So, what makes you think, do you think that the speaker would be able to find the missing shoe? Okay. Yes, LJ?
Because she's just in their house.
And maybe she just misplaced the missing shoe. Okay. Okay, class. So, based on the poem or the topic which we have just discussed, what do you think will be our lesson for today? Do you have any ideas in mind? Okay. Okay, class. So, our topic for today is about judging the validity of the evidence listened to. So, class, this lesson will help you judge the validity of the evidence of a text. Okay, so have you heard the what comes first into your mind, class, when you read this text, these words, judging the validity of the evidence listened to? Do you have any ideas? What would it be, class? Okay, how about you, Mike? Do you have any idea? How about the others? Okay, so to substantiate your ideas, let's proceed to the discussion. Okay, LJ, would you mind to read the presentation?
After finding the evidence in the next and in the text, next is to identify whether these facts or data support the point and came from reliable and credible source.
Okay. So, according to the text itself, it is all about evaluating whether the idea is valid or not. Okay, so class, how do you evaluate or judge the validity of an idea or an evidence? How do you evaluate if it is valid, if it is factual? How can you say that it's valid? For example, a fake news. How do you, a fake news is not a valid or a credible idea. So, how do you evaluate a news whether if it is a valid one or not? What are you going to do for you to evaluate it? Okay, so do you cite the sources of the information or not? Yes? Okay, very good. You have to gather informations for you to assess whether the information is factual or not. Okay, so according to Davis Oldham, in this article, he enumerated that some different ways on how to evaluate the validity of an evidence. So here's the first question. Here are the ways on how to evaluate the validity of the evidence. Okay, so who would want to read the first question? JL? would you mind to read the first question?
Ways how to evaluate the validity of the evidence. Is the evidence sufficient?
Okay, so is the evidence sufficient? When we say sufficient, what does it mean, class? What does it mean when we say sufficient? Do you have any dictionaries in your phone? Would you mind to browse it and see the definition of sufficient? Okay. Have you already seen it, class? What does sufficient mean, Mike? What? Would you mind to stand up and read the definition of sufficient according to your dictionary? Okay.
Commission. Enough to meet them.
Yeah, what?
Enough to meet them.
Okay, very good. That is the meaning of sufficient. So, when we say is the evidence sufficient, is it enough to meet the needs? Is it enough to prove that it is valid? So, when we say is the evidence sufficient, is there enough of it or do you need more to feel convinced? Yung parang nakukulangan ka ba or hindi? Sufficient is the act of being when you are already satisfied with the information that you have gathered. Okay, class, did you understand? Alright. Now, let's proceed to the next question. Who wants to read it? How about you, Joshua? Would you mind to read it?
Ways how to evaluate the validity of the evidence. Is the evidence relevant?
Okay. So, the next question is the evidence relevant? So, when we say relevant, is it related to the topic? So, is the evidence relevant? Is it really about the point of the author? Is it related or is it connected to the point of the author? So, when we are assessing whether the evidence is valid or not, we should also bear in mind that it should be relevant. Okay? It should be connected. Okay, class? Take note that it should be connected. Relevant means it is the connection of the idea. Or is the point or is the idea does have something or is connected. Syempre, there are articles that when we assess if they are no longer relevant or they are no longer connected to the main idea. That's why we should assess whether is it relevant. Okay, class, did you understand? Okay. Now let's proceed to the third one. Jericho, would you mind to read it?
Ways how to evaluate the validity of the evidence. Is the evidence representative?
Okay, thank you. So this question is the most or is the hardest one to understand. But also, class, it is the most important because representative evidence is the evidence that accurately represents the whole topic, not just a selected one. From the word itself, class, representative, it represents the topic as a whole. So, is the topic, is the whole topic or the idea, is it relevant, is it sufficient, is it representative? So, those three should be there when we assess whether an evidence or an idea is valid. Okay, class, did you understand? Okay. Okay. So, what makes the evidence valid? So, who wants to read it? Mike, would you mind to read the presentation loud and clear?
What makes evidence valid? Evidence is said to be valid if it is strong and it connects to the question and answer. Evidence found in primary sources such as literary works, historical documents, photos, biographies, and Quotations is an example of strong and valid evidence.
Okay, very good. Thank you for reading. So, based on your understanding, Mike, what have you understand about the statement?
Strong and it connects to the question and answer.
Okay, very good. So, the evidence should be connected to the idea or to the thoughts, yes, to the question and to the thoughts of the author, which it makes it relevant. Okay. So here is an example of a weak use of evidence. JM, would you mind to read it?
Example of weak use of evidence. I believe that online learning is a practical method of acquiring knowledge this time of pandemic. It is a platform where students can assess learning at any place and time. According to the WHO, one in 4 persons in the world will be affected by mental and neurological disorders at the same point in their lives. Through online learning, education continues 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, which is very helpful in new normal education.
Okay, class. So this is an example of a weak use of evidence. So what makes you think that this statement is a weak use of evidence, class? Okay, try to read it and analyze it. Okay. Okay, class. What makes you think that this statement is an example of a weak use of evidence? Anyone? JM, do you have any idea? Okay. So this statement is an example of weak use of evidence because the main idea is about online learning. Wherein, while on the following statements, the supporting ideas, it states about the mental disorder. So what does the mental disorder have to do with online learning? Although it is somehow connected, but it is not the main point. Did you get it, class? Did you get it, class? Okay. Now let us take a look with the example of a stronger use of evidence. Okay, so who would want to read it? LJ, would you mind to read it?
Example of stronger use of evidence. I believe that online learning is a practical method of acquiring knowledge this time of pandemic.
Sorry.
It is a platform where students can access learning at any place and time. Lewis, 2006, defined online learning as using internet technology for enhancing performance and knowledge on their convenient time. Through online learning, education continues 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, which is very helpful in new normal education.
Okay, thank you, LJ. Okay, class, so this is an example of a statement which represents a stronger use of evidence. So what makes you think that this statement is a stronger use of evidence? Okay, try to read it.
Using internet technology for enhancing performance and knowledge on their convenient time.
Okay, Mike, would you mind to stand up and share your idea?
Online learning as using internet technology for enhancing performance and knowledge on their convenient time.
Okay. So has to do with the statement, Mike? Is it a
Helpful in normal education.
okay? That's right. So this is a better example of an evidence because the statement has been smoothly integrated, and according to Ruiz 2006, it has a concrete evidence. It also has a citation, which is there is a proponent mentioned, which is Ruiz 2006. Okay. Okay, class, so did you understand, class, the difference of a stronger use of evidence and a weak use of evidence? Okay, I only heard LJ. Did you understand, class?
Yes,
Okay. Now let's proceed to the next activity, which is entitled Hear Me Out. So I'm going to let you listen to the biography of Robert Frost. And after listening, class, you are tasked to answer the following questions. And while listening, I'm going to give you a handout for you to better understand. Okay, class, so I am going to play a recorded audio about Robert Frost, its biography, and I have given you already a handout. So while listening, class, you are going to read it, so for you to better understand what it has to say. Okay, class? Are you ready? Are you ready, class? Okay.
Robert Frost is one of the most widely read and beloved of American poets, as well as one of his greatest.
Four-time Pulitzer Prize-winning poet, Robert Frost was a national celebrity, famous for writing poems about rural life using American colloquial speech.
Robert Frost is well known for a few poems that he managed to lodge in everyone's head. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, also Mending Wall, and The Road Not Taken, of course, is probably the most famous of all of his poems.
While most people associate Robert Frost with New England, he was born in San Francisco on March 26, 1874, and he moved to New England at age 11 after the death of his father.
Frost began writing poetry in high school, where he met his future wife, Eleanor White. He briefly attended Dartmouth, then went to Harvard in 1897, but left before graduating due to illness and his wife's pregnancy. After Harvard, Frost took up farming.
During this time, he lost 2 children to influenza, and he wasn't a very good farmer. The farm did not thrive, but his work thrived.
While Frost was able to get a few poems published, he was unable to get a book published. So in 1912, he sold his farm and took his family to live in England, hoping to find better luck with publishers.
Within a few months of arriving in England, Frost found a publisher for his poems.
The first book, A Boy's Will, was reviewed rather quickly by none other than Ezra Pound, who gave a very favorable review.
Shortly after World War I broke out, Frost moved back to the United States and settled in Franconia, New Hampshire, where he wrote and began his long teaching career, starting off at Amherst College.
Robert Frost was really the first bard on campus. He taught at various universities, Amherst, Michigan, Harvard, Dartmouth, Middlebury.
He moved around a lot. He was in and out of universities, and as he used to call it, barding around.
By the end of his career, Robert Frost was showered with honors. He received over 40 honorary degrees. He also received the Congressional Gold Medal and 4 Pulitzer Prizes.
At the age of 86, in 1961, Robert Frost was asked to read at John Fitzgerald Kennedy's inauguration.
The land was ours before we were the land. She was our land more than 100 years before we were her people.
At the time, it was as much an honor for Kennedy as it was for Frost.
Robert Frost died in Boston, Massachusetts at the age of 89 on January 29, 1963. Poetic to the end, Frost's tombstone read, "I had a lover's quarrel with the world."
When Amherst College built the Robert Frost Library, Kennedy agreed to give the keynote address, and it was one of the great speeches of his presidency. In that speech, Kennedy wrote, "When power corrupts, poetry cleanses." He was thinking very much of Robert Frost as a poet who spoke truth to power.
Robert Frost felt very strongly about form. He once famously said, "Free verse is like playing tennis without a net. It ain't tennis." And Frost was tennis all the way.
Okay, class. So did you understand it?
Bluetooth.
Understand the biography of Robert Frost? Okay, class. So did you understand the biography of Robert Frost? Class, do you want me to play it again or not? Okay. So it seems like you really understood it. So after listening to the recorded audio, what do you think is the central idea of the audio being played? The central idea or the main idea? Okay, anyone? What do you think is the main idea of the recorded audio which you have listened to earlier? Okay, LJ, do you have any idea?
About
Would you mind to stand up, LJ, and share your idea?
about the biography of Robert Frost.
Yes, it's all about the biography of Robert Frost. So, how's the life of Robert Frost? According to the audio which you have listened to, how is it? Is he a award-winning poet or not? Yes, that's right. So what is the main idea, the main focus of the audio? Aside from that, it is his biography. What is the main point? What is the highlight of his life? Yes, LJ?
About his winning poems.
Yes, very good. The main idea of the biography is about his Okay, how about the others? Do you have any ideas? Yes, Liam?
During this time, he lost two children to influenza and he wasn't a very good farmer.
Okay, very good. So during that time, Robert Frost is also experiencing a great problem, a hindrance in his life. Despite of his achievements of gaining the awards, he also experienced the agony. The agony of losing two children due to influenza. Okay, class, do you still have any ideas? Okay, so now let's proceed to the next question. Okay, class, at the back of the paper which I gave you, write at least 2 sample sentences or evidences that support the main idea. Okay, class, you don't have to read it, you don't need to write it down. You only have to underline it. Underline at least 2 sentences that support the main idea. Okay, class, you are given 2 minutes to do the task. You only have to underline 2 statements or 2 evidences which you think supports the main idea. Okay, class, are you done underlining the statements? You don't have to underline all of it. You only have to underline 2 statements. Okay, are you done, class? So, may I hear someone from you to read these statements which he or she has underlined? Who wants to volunteer? Only one? Anyone? Anyone from the group? Yes, Mike. Do you want to share what you have underlined?
Because this form and
Would you mind to stand up, Mike?
He sold his farm and took his family to live in England, hoping to find better luck in publishing.
Yes, very good. That is a very good sample. How about the others? What have you underlined? How about you, LJ? What did you underline?
Robert Frost is well known for a few poems that he managed to love when everyone's head stopping by roots in a snowy evening, also mending wall and rope not taken. Of course, is probably the most famous of his poems.
Yes, very good. That is a good example of a supporting evidence to support the central idea. So it seems like you really understood the meaning of a strong and weak example of evidence. Now let's have a short activity. Class, would you mind to read it as one, the direction?
Right?
Yes. As one. All of you, class.
1, 2, 3, go.
Right if the statement is evident and empty if it is not evident.
Okay, did you understand the direction, class? Okay, so you are going to write your answer at the back of the paper which I gave you. Okay, class, so please don't forget to write your names. So here's the first statement. The text is sufficient and composed of several facts about the life of Robert Frost. Is it evident or not evident? According to the text, class, write evident if the statement is stated from the text which I gave you. Okay. Are you done answering, class? Okay. Only write E or ME. Okay. Can we now proceed to the next statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There are quotations found in the text. Is it evident or not evident? There are quotations found in the text. Okay. Number 3. The author helps the reader understand the text by providing relevant evidence. The author helps the reader understand the text by providing relevant evidence. Is it E or NE? Okay. Number 4. Group of evidences found in the text are factual and valid. Group of evidences found in the text are factual and valid. Is it evident or not evident? Okay, are you done answering? Okay. Opinionated statements are present in the text. Opinionated statements are present in the text. Is it evident or not evident? Okay, class, are you done answering? So please exchange your papers to your seatmate and let us see whether you got the correct answer or not. Have you exchanged your papers already? Okay, so number 1, what do you think is the answer? Is it E or NE?
E.
Okay, very good. It is E or evident. How about number 2? Is it E or NE? Okay, very good. Number 3, what's your answer? Okay, it is evident. How about number 4? Okay, it is E, evident. There are group of evidences found in the text. How about number 5? What?
N-E.
Okay, so who answered NE? Would you mind to raise your hands? NE. NE. Who answered E? Evident. Okay. So the two of you, why did you answer E or evident? Okay, would you mind to justify your answers? You have to defend your answer. Why did you answer E or evident? Oh, LJ, would you mind to stand up and justify your answer? Sige. Let Mike do the honor. Why did you answer E or evident?
Kasi, feeling ko may mga iba't ibang tao na
Opinion.
nag-gathers ng mga may nag-gathers. Yeah.
Okay, very good. You have a point. Let's hear something from JM. Okay.
Kasi totoo namang nangyari ito kay Robert.
Yes.
Robert Frost. Kaya walang opinion. Walang opinion din.
Okay. So, okay class, so the answer is very good, the both of you. You have justified your points. But the answer is not evident. Because all of these statements, okay class, here's the answer. Because all of these statements that are written there are all factual. Although they seem like opinionated, they are based from real-life situations, from the life of Robert Frost. Okay class? Who got 5?
Wala, 4 kami lahat.
Okay, all of you got 4. Okay, class, very good. Now, would you mind to pass your papers so that I can record it? Okay, very good. Now, let's do a recap. Who wants to summarize what we have discussed today? What we have discussed earlier? Kindly summarize it. Who wants to summarize it? If you really understood our topic.
Method of acquiring.
Yes, would you mind to stand up, Mike?
Method of acquiring knowledge.
Yes, that's right. The things that we have discussed are the methods, or it is the art of questioning whether it is valid or not. Okay, how about the others? How about the others? Okay, class, so how can you relate our topic for today to your real life situations? How can you evaluate it? Who wants to recite? How can you relate it to the real life situations? Okay. For example, class, when you are writing an article in the school or even in when we are posting public announcements, we should bear in mind that the evidences or the ideas that we are writing there are relevant, sufficient, and what is the other one? Relevant, sufficient, and representative. Very good.
Oh my God, I'm so very good.
Okay. Alright, class, so you should always remember that identifying evidence is in a text is based from facts. It is very important to answer and assess questions and for us to be more knowledgeable in sharing and grasping ideas. Alright, class, did you understand? Okay. Wala na pala. Okay, so I am going to give you some answer sheets and this will serve as your short quiz. Take time to answer since we still have a lot of time. Okay. Don't forget to write your names, class, ha? Read the directions first before you answer for you to be guided. Okay, class, no cheating. Just let me know once you are done. Keep your phones inside your pockets. Do not use it as a código or something. Class, mind your own papers. For the 4 and 5 class, you don't have to write an essay or a whole paragraph. You only have to complete the sentence for it to have a complete thought. Are you done answering? How about you, Joshua? Have you completed the sentence? Ano daw yung masusunod? Alas. Meron ka pag-time first. Much better. Okay, class, are you done answering? Not yet. Okay, if you are done answering, class, pass your answer sheets in front. For those who are done, pass your answer sheets in front. LJ and Mike, are you done? Okay. How about okay? Okay, class, so time's up. Would you mind to pass your answers now? Time is up, class. Gumawa na ata ng essay si JM. Essay na ba to? Okay, class, so for your assignment, have an advanced reading about the 4 types of evidences. For we are going to have a recitation next meeting. 4 types of evidences. Okay, so class, do you still have questions in mind? Do you still have questions in mind, class? Okay, so if there is no any question, let's call it a day. So, but before you go, class, please observe, play, go, clean as you go. Okay, so goodbye, class.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, class.
Goodbye, ma'am.